I can see an innate desire, sword in hand, warriors side by side. I can feel it, it burns like fire. Worlds collide, an unstable landscape, side by side. But that's what this mandates. Be it might, an unlikely allegiance. We will fight because that's the best defense. No turning back, for such is our path. This day we find a glorious death. Glorious death. Our goal, our mission is clear, as we ride against a dark empire. By my soul, may the last thing they hear be the roar of this raging fire. Listen, be the savagery mindset. Night and day, we'll let loose and find it. Brutal will define our reaction. Rip out the throat of each one imperfection. No turning back, for such is our path. This day we find the
Services has a bundle for all budgets. You can be fully protected with emergency response for just $49.99.
Boo! It's Braxcast live time once again, guys. It's also Halloween, so I don't trick or treat. I haven't gone trick or treating in years. I was never much of a Halloween guy, so I don't really care for like the parties and people dressing up. So I got no problems doing a live stream. Keeping up with the Braxcast live schedule. And I'm a very solitary person, so I would not like to get with a bunch of people and get like drunk. Because what a lot of Halloween parties are for like people around my age, like late 20s, or even early 30s. People just want to go out and party, get a bunch of high noons or white claws or whatever, dress up in skimpy outfits and party the night away. Especially since Halloween's on a Friday, people are going to be going crazy. But it's not my thing, and Halloween was never really my thing. And it's even less so my thing now. But anyways, we do have the fact that it is Halloween. We've got the close out of the. Here we go. I go. Oh, but anyways, we do have. We can add that there. But anyways, I'm gonna go. We got Mostapunk. I have not seen you in the chat before, so welcome to the chat. Got that you do love Halloween, but couldn't find anything to do related to it. Yeah, I was never much of a Halloween person, like I was just saying. I went trick or treating as a kid. I liked getting candy, like Reese's Pieces and Mr. Good Bar, or Mr. Goodyear, or whatever. Like peanut butter and chocolate. That's my thing. Never like into fruit candies or anything like that. I joined, but I need to run up to the store for wine. I'm fresh out. Now, again, Andrew, we were talking about you being a wine mom. You got to go to the liquor store and get a couple boxes of Franzia. You're not escaping the allegations anytime soon. If you're still going in a bit, maybe I will. Yeah, I mean, I'll be, however long it goes. I might do like an hour or so. We'll feel out the night. Depends on like how packed it is. So yes, Andrew is the NDA wine mom confirmed. But let's go through. Don't insult me like that. I'm just spitting facts here, Andrew. Like you're saying, like I have to go to buy wine. I'm gonna call you a wine mom. It's just the natural order of things. So like if you don't want me to call you a wine mom, don't give me the ammunition, right? But anyways, of course I love it. Just lighthearted fun as always. I will withhold every one of your orders. Do you have the authority to do that? Oh man, of course. So like again, that only hurts you because you're gonna prevent me from reading Ripazine number 5, right? And then I'm not gonna be able to say anything about it. Okay, that master plan, right? Too much Franzia. Lay off the Franzia. But anyways, you're distracting me. Got other people say hello to you. Of course, we got Garfield in the chat as always. Really nice to see you as always. We got, I believe I saw there's like son of the chat saying happy Halloween. I haven't seen you in the chat before, but you're still around. Nice and welcome to the stream. Emily Kruger, welcome to the stream. Hale, I know you're a subscriber of mine, so cool to see you in the chat as well. I believe I'm caught up on the chat. Of course, son of chat said, especially the ones with pineapple pizza, please. Not sure what that is in response to. Well, anyways, figure Bloodruth 2 is closing out today. So, of course, the first issue of Bloodruth launched, was it Halloween? Yeah, it was Halloween 2024 is when it launched. And it ran for till January, end of January, early February-ish. And got to read it in February. It's a really good book. I really liked it. Now, Bloodruth number 2, it feels like it's going to fulfill probably around December or so. Okay, so let's see. Thoughts on pineapple on pizza? It's an important question. I've never had pineapple on pizza. Not much of a fruit person. I ought to eat more fruit, like apples and stuff like that, especially since apples are in season. Right now it is fall. So like I'm a bit, once I went like keto, I had a pretty big stint where I was like really not quite keto because I'd still have dairy with the protein powder with the coconut sugar, but I was like really low carb, like less than like around maybe 50 grams a day. So most of it was protein and fat, and I cut out all the processed sugar, and I have very little of that, especially compared to like when I would go, you know, go to Subway and have like a cookie, and I'd have like milkshakes all the time and stuff like that. It's all sweet things. Um, but anyways, like my like tolerance for fruit, like in terms of just the flavor, is much more like I have much more. I can like it actually tastes decent to me. It's just the texture of fruit. So I imagine like a pineapple on pizza, like the texture would be so weird. It just wouldn't be right for me. So I'm not for it. The acceptable pizza toppings, you know, you can do pepperoni, you can do sausage, you can do like peppers, onions, olives. You want like more savory things, and of course, like buffalo chicken's really good. But yeah, if I'm going to put a topping on a pizza, I want it to be savory. You know, maybe you can do like maple syrup bacon, and that might work. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't do like I wouldn't try to do like anything like desserty sweet on a pizza, and that's like what pineapple is going to be. So if you want to have pineapple, just have pineapple. Like have your like pizza. If you want to just have pizza, cheese pizza, have some canned pineapple or fresh pineapple for dessert. And then I think that's the way to do it. But I don't know if people like it, that's fine. But my thoughts is like I personally would not have pineapple on pizza. It just does not seem like a good flavor combination because like I said, it's just like pizza toppings to me are meant to be savory, right? It's like I wouldn't say pizza's like a hearty meal, but it's savory in that flavor profile. Even though like man, I've had pizza. It's a garbage food though. Like in terms of like you can get like if you really try, like you make it yourself, like you get you get like some good quality flour, you get good quality yeast, you make the pizza dough yourself, and but then most people don't do that, and I haven't done that. Last time I had pizza was like that jobs would come and I'd just gorge myself on pizza because it was like an overnight warehouse shop where I'm just like slamming stuff. So I'm just gonna just eat it down. Yes, it is not okay. It is an abomination. I would lean towards it being that opinion. But anyways, why are we talking about my opinions on pizza toppings? Well, we ought to be talking about the Ripaverse. This is supposed to be a Ripaverse live stream. This isn't Joker rants about pineapple on pizza. This isn't Joker explains to you why the Roman Empire fell in 476 or really 1453, depending on what your opinion is. Of course, the Byzantine Empire was. Anyways, I could talk about that all day and all night about the Roman Empire, but I want to talk about the Ripaverse. And of course, Bloodruth #2 is closing out tonight. It's closing on Halloween, which I think is pretty cool. I was pretty certain that Bloodruth #2 was initially going to be a Halloween launch, like emulating its predecessor, Bloodruth #1, which launched Halloween of last year and then ran into early this year and it fulfilled around February. Of course, the review I did for Bloodruth #1 is still, I believe, my most watched YouTube video on Velvet Room Publishing. So people really like that review that I did on Bloodruth for whatever reason. It was a fantastic book. Of course, the Saskas wrote it, 96 pager. They do really good with short stories, but they do quite well with let's see. So yeah, Garfield's going to be lurking, which is perfectly okay. But yeah, they also do well with the longer stories as well. The 96 pages, really good. This is going to be a 56-page follow-up to this story, and of course, there's a lot of stuff that Bloodruth #1 establishes. And of course, Bloodruth has appeared in the Isom series as well. Her first appearance being in Isom #2, and of course, she had an appearance in Isom #3 as well. So expanding upon like all of her appearances. And of course, the events of the first book. Of course, she's just getting herself established in the outskirts of Loris Park, in that castle with like Crowley, with of course the fallout with Lillian and Michael Renashi and Gooding as well. Like finding out more about how how Gooding knows the Bloodruths is going to be an interesting thing. I hope that's explored in Bloodruth #2, or if not, explored in the ongoing series of Bloodruth. So there's just a lot of stuff that the fans want answers to, or I would say I personally want answers to, that is really, really cool and makes for a lot of great content for Bloodruth. So I'm excited to see what the Saskas are going to do with these 56 pages. But of course, I would take a 96 page So Mike has bad news. Welcome to the chat. Is asking if you guys are going to do a closeout stream. Asking that to Andrew. They most likely are. So I'm not sure how long I'll stream on that basis. Of course, seems to have like a decent amount of people on my by YouTube, but I'm sure people are doing stuff for Halloween, which makes sense. Because not everyone's like me, where like I just barely leave the house and basically not do anything social. But I'm a little bit better, and I ought to get better. Especially since I have the weekends. But anyways, let's see. Mike has bad knees. It's all because it's Halloween and Andrew's the only Ripperverse employee without something better to do. He said so on Discord. Let's see. We are not actually, with it being Halloween, everyone has plans except for me. So no stream. Okay. So like I am hosting the unofficial Bloodruth closeout stream because unlike all the people who have lives, who have plans, I don't on Halloween. Like I just because again, I'm just some nerd that sits in his room and talks about comic books. I was just playing some Halo. Everyone's been going on about the Halo discourse, with the Halo ice memes. I was like, let me fire up my Master Chief collection on my PC and play some Halo. It's fun. I like Halo. I played all the games back in the day. Only one I haven't beaten has been Infinite. And I'm like, I got really close to beating Infinite, but I just kind of dropped it. I just never got back to it. Yeah, so Mike has bad knees. Is heading out in 40 minutes to take the kids to get candy. Yeah, trick or treating is it's fun. Like I remember doing that. It's just like once I got too old to do that, and that was probably I don't know around sometime in high school, where I was like, oh, I'm too old to trick or treat. Halloween lost all of its appeal to me because I'm not much of a horror guy. I like the story of Bloodruth because of like all the interesting lore stuff, and of course, like the religious themes. Whether we're talking about Bloodruth, calling for the intercession of Mary to defeat Morningstar, that's really cool. All of like the iconography, even if it's very Catholic skewed or Roman Catholic skewed, since the Saskas are Roman Catholics, I still find it very interesting. And of course, like in the very opening pages of Bloodruth with that Cain and Abel opening, I absolutely love that. And then, of course, just the general things of what Bloodruth's powers and implications are for the Rippaverse makes it a very interesting story for me, even if like horror isn't necessarily my thing. And I don't think it ever really is going to be. So I'm not like I'm not this horror guy. And like so much so, like when I did the reviews for Bell Room Publishing's movies, I wanted to do horror movies for October. That's something I thought, but when I did, I just picked 4 movies, and I didn't pick any horror movies. I reviewed Dirty Dancing, which honestly, that's a good movie, man. I like that movie, and honestly, for a movie called Dirty Dancing, not that risque. Especially in comparison to like you watch a Game of Thrones or something, and they got everything jingling and jangling like every other scene. Whereas basically watching something you'd see on the hub, and that's like that's like the appeal. It's like, oh, it's so mature and adult because they're doing all this nonsense. But no, Dirty Dancing, like it's just a very sensual story. Of course, like it's weird that like Patrick Swayze in that movie, like his character is like what around my age, like 27 or late 20s, early 30s, and baby's like what 17. But he gets a pass because he's Patrick Swayze. And then when you watch the movie, you just have to say, like, yes, this would be weird and like straight to jail in any other context. But since it's Patrick Swayze, we give him a pass. We need to get Joker to watch the correct horror films. Yeah. So what are the correct horror films? I don't think it's Scary Movie, the Scary Movie franchise. But of course, we got Ram in the chat. Hopefully, you're having a good one, Ram. Nice to see you in the chat. So just going to cook dinner, drink wine, and play some games. Yes, sounds quite nice. Oh man, I want to play. I ought to play like Death Stranding too. Oh yeah, Halloween 1978 for one thing. Yeah, Michael Myers. Oh yeah, the Halloween franchise is what started off Michael Myers, and that became a whole franchise. But yeah, like I said, no, I don't know. Maybe I'll watch some. But yeah, like I said, never much of a horror guy. But yes, Mustapunk my my Twitter DMs, you can just like at like Velvet Room Pub on Twitter and just give me the list of horror movies I absolutely have to watch. I'll add them to the list. I'll work them into my Substack. So if you follow the daily poll on the first of each month, and I'm actually doing it tomorrow because tomorrow is November 1st. It's a new month, and I don't know, I have a love-hate relationship with the first of the month. Well, actually, more like a hate relationship because I got to pay rent next month. You have a letterbox. A letterbox? You mean like a red box? Or no, I was talking about like Twitter. Like if you can just at me on Twitter. I don't have like a PO box. I have a UPS mailing box, and that's public. I put that information out there, but that's for like if you want to send me like comic reviews. What about horror comics? Yeah, son of Chad. I'm honestly fine with horror comics. No, that's a film social media. Let's see. Let's see. You mean a letter? I don't have a letterbox. So what I do is I review movies on my Substack. So if you pay for my Substack, actually, I'll show this since anyways, Bloodruth number 2. We can keep track of this. It's at 5137. So it jumped up a little bit. $174,000. So this seems like where it's going to close out. It's going to be like around 175, maybe 180. But anyways, we can actually go to Velvet Room Publishing archives to the paid film review archive, and boy, here we go. And we will go and zoom in on this. Let's see if you guys can see this. So every month I review movies on the Substack. So these are all the paid reviews that I've done, or basically all these reviews are paid. So you pay for my Substack. It's $5 a month. And you get to read all of these reviews. And these are all the ones that I've reviewed so far. Starting in March of 24 is when I reviewed. So I started with The Terminator, fantastic movie. And then I did Fight Club, Cocaine Bear, which I really liked. I did Kill Bill, and that was me watching the 2 volumes. So it's like I'm basically at the back in the habit of doing this where I'll watch these movies on Sunday. It'll be like the last thing I do in the weekend is I'll watch these like Sunday night, and then I'll just write the review. And I'll do that like usually towards the end of the month. So what I do is I have the daily poll. So on the first of the month, the daily poll is what movie should Joker review for November 2025? And then I pick 4 movies. If you're a paid subscriber, you can vote in a paid poll in the Substack. And that means, and I'll count your vote by 10. And then the regular poll I post is just like 1. Although I only got 1 vote for last month because I get very little interaction on my Substack content. It's probably a me. I would say it's that. I mean, everything's a me problem. So I need to get better at marketing myself. I need to like actually care to market myself. But anyways, if you go onto the Substack, then you guys can, and I'll link this here, and you can subscribe to the Substack, and you guys can consider becoming a paid subscriber. So the link is in the chat right there. Like I said, you consider becoming a paid subscriber, and then you get to read all these reviews. You get more weight in the votes, and then of course there are some movies I've reviewed as additionals. Like my grandmother suggested when I visited her in February, she's like, "Watch The Great Dictator," and I watched it. That was a good movie. And even though that movie came out in like 1940 something, and I believe she talked about seeing it like the year after it came out, and the movie came out like nearly 80 years ago. So it's but anyways, let's see. So Son of Chad saying Predator Bad Blood is a good horror comic. Don't think it's been adapted to film. Yeah, no, I've got no issues with reviewing horror comics. It's just I'm pushing my September reviews, I push into October, I'm pushing into November. I'm so bad with like doing anything. I am chronically unproductive. And I'm very slowly getting back into it. Terminator is great. Love seeing Elf here. Oh yeah, I did review Elf. I did that as like a Christmas movie, and that was a fun movie. I liked that one. It was like it was a cheesy feel good movie. But that's kind of what you want for your average Christmas flick. You don't need it to be like this super complicated thing that like espouses on the human condition. You just want it to be fun. And that's where like a lot of comics are. So like you don't need everything to like give you these like deep revelatory like things on the human experience. Sometimes you just want to open up a comic book. You just want to see the bad guys getting punched. You want to see attractive women being attractive. You want to see masculine men being masculine. That's what you get with, I feel like I said something you get with Rippaverse. It's something you used to get with Marvel and DC. That's what you get with a lot of, things in the indie scene. Talking about iconic comics, talking about what genuine comics does, especially for the attractive women. I mean, look at 10, you look at Calamity. Basically, all the female characters in the genuine verse are very, very proportionate. Let's see. So 5-star childhood classic. The best Christmas pageant ever is Brilliant. One movie that's really stupid. It's the Santa Claus with Tim Allen. It's such a dumb movie, but I think it works because of how stupid it is. And it's a movie that works for Tim Allen. It's the Santa Claus. So it's like it's Clause. So it's like a contract where he basically murders Santa, or more like manslaughter Santa, and then becomes Santa. And it's so stupid, but it's so funny. Like on that basis. And we're getting into the Christmas season, guys. So basically, after like starting in November, most people are going to be in this like it's Christmas mindset. And people like my mom are going to be like, not until Black Friday. But we're getting into that point. The Santa Claus is a million times better than Elf because it's actually funny. That's a hot take. That's a pretty spicy take, Andrew. Let's see, too early right now. December, not December yet at all. I haven't seen it in years. Maybe this Christmas. Yeah. I do agree. I think like after Black Friday, that's when we enter into the Christmas season. Of course, since I've went up north. I'm not as far up north as I could be, even the state. Like I'm not upstate. I love the upstate of New Hampshire. Like I want to move to like I don't know. I don't want to say the specific town I want to move to. I haven't even figured that out yet. But like I want to go up north, man, because I love the North Country. It's Coos County. It's the northernmost county in New Hampshire, and it's the first county I've went to when I visited New Hampshire, and I started like going to the Porcupine Freedom Festival, because it's not going to be anymore. There's a lot of reasons why it won't be at Rogers Campground. I don't want to get into that, but anyways, that's in Lancaster, and it's a beautiful place, like just the trees and the mountains, and you still have a lot of that here in the southern part of the state. But the north is just where it's at in terms of just like being in nature. That's where I want to go eventually. But yeah, even here, it's going to be snowy. So like it's going to feel very Christmassy. Assuming, we get a good amount of snow, which probably are going to. I'm not sure but yeah, mostly when I was living on Long Island, we get snow and it would be winter. Like last winter was pretty cold. Let's see. The movie isn't funny. It's a joyous story about a family coming together to save Christmas. The Santa Claus is coming to town. A scene. Let's see. So Elf is overrated and Will Ferrell is not funny. Well, I think Ferrell. I think he can be funny. And like I said, I thought the Elf movie. I remember liking it. Like I remember not disliking it. I feel like, oh, it's a decent movie. Like it's not like it wasn't like that, like spectacular or anything like that, but it's like, hey, it's a movie that works. And I don't know, I think Will Ferrell's like comedy, his acting style, it kind of it vibes with me at sometimes. I know I liked the movie The Other Guys when I was a kid. I thought that was a funny movie. That was with Will Ferrell and Mark, what's his, not Mark Hamilton. Oh my God! Why can't I wasn't even around when he was called Marky Mark, but I just know he was called Marky Mark. Who am I thinking? If I'm going to say his last name, I'm gonna feel like because I should know, like, because in M. Night Shyamalan movie, he's been in a bunch of action movies. Oh my God, it's killing me, guys. I'm just gonna Google it. Marky Mark. Oh, Mark Wahlberg. Oh. guys. I'm so freaking Wahlberg. Yes, I just Googled it. Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, the other guys was funny. The other guys was funny. I remember liking that movie when I was a kid. But anyways, I figured it out. So, and you guys helped me in the chat. But anyway, so yeah, this is we can go do. So like I said, this is the paid film review. So that's what I do. And like I said, the most recent one was Dirty Dancing. Someone one of the live stream while I was talking about this was like review the movie Warfare, and I decided to do that. I put it on the list, and I chose that one. And I like Warfare. That was a good movie. It came out this year, and oh, you got to see the show, The Little House on the Prairie. It's something my mom talked about because my mom loved Little House on the Prairie, like the books. And I think I might have had the books read to me. I know my dad read. I know my dad read me a series of unfortunate events or tales by Lemony Snicket. I remember when I was in elementary school, my dad would read those to me at night. But yes, I'm familiar with. Well, my mom is. I don't know. I love my mom. I'm not going to badmouth my mom, but she's not like as based as like I would like her to be. But she's a very nice lady. So I'm going to I would say you're justified. I would definitely say you're justified in complimenting my mother. So yes, but yes, I remember. I know Little House on the Prairie. I know like Paul went into town to buy a window and stuff like that. And I think I forget her name, like Laura Ingalls Wilder. She lived until like the 60s or so. She was around for quite a while, which is interesting. And I know, was it her or her little sister that Paul Cole, was a little half pint or whatever. So yeah, I'm familiar with Little House on the Prairie. I've seen, I think, a couple clips from the show, but I don't think I ever watched the show in like any sort of like sat down and watched it. But it'd probably be a good one to watch, and that's going to be some wholesome entertainment. Would be Little House on the Prairie. But I'm familiar with Let's see. Yes. Laura Ingalls, Carrie's Ingalls. Mary is the oldest. Yes. I think it was just him. Yeah, Paul was like the only man. Like I don't think he had a son, right? Which it seems like he was like a real salt of the earth man, right? And he just has a bunch of daughters. Which honestly, the thing with me is like I don't think I'd ever have kids. Who knows? But one of the things that like really intimidates me is like having a son and then turning a boy into a man. Because that's just it's such a daunting task to me. Like, and it's not possible. Part of it would be fun. Like if I had a son and he's like, 13, it's like, come on, son, we're going into the woods for a weekend and we're just like chopping wood and we're going fishing and we're just, we're just going to take the 12 gauge and just, shoot bottles and stuff like that. It'd be fun, man. It'd be a hell of a time, especially if like, let's say I have multiple kids and he's like the only boy. And it's like, I gotta, let's get away from the girls, man. That'd be fun. But again, it's a daunting thing because like, you don't raise a son. I mean, it was for any child. You don't raise them correctly, then they're going to be destructive adults, but especially for boys, becoming like dysfunctional men. And that's one of the reasons why our society is as messed up as it is, because we have this mass fatherlessness, and then the fathers that are in the household are not doing what they need to do for their sons and their daughters. But anyways, see you, Pineapple. So you got to go for an hour right now. See you. I still hope you'll be live by then. I'm not sure if I will be, because I like to go for about an hour or so. I got to get up early. Yeah, I got to get up early tomorrow because I've got someone who's in Australia I'm interviewing, and I got to do that at 5 a.m. And you should be the time we get up, but I've been going to my sleep schedule. I've been messing up my sleep schedule intentionally, but I'm still like functioning because my job starts like just before, like I get in just before 9, which is like pretty late for me. So I've been like just staying up late and sleeping in. When sleeping in for me is like I'm going to the gym at like 6:30 a.m. Let's see, amoral fat 40 ounce. That's a interesting username. Shout out to you too. Thank you for being in the live stream. Of course, this is like every time I live stream, I say this is the topic. And it's supposed to be Rippaverse related, but I just end up gabbing about random stuff. We're just talking about movies. So, but of course we can refresh the page here because this is the official Bloodruth closeout stream. because they're not doing a closeout stream since it's Halloween, and they're not losers like me. They actually have stuff to do. But for me, I'm not a Halloween guy, so I didn't have any plans. I could have gone to some of my church was doing like a fall festival, but I feel like that's more for like the kiddos. And I'm not a kiddo. So it's like I don't know, it's not my thing. But anyways, this is the Bloodruth goes out stream, if you guys didn't know. And that's what I'm doing. Let's see, we're almost at $175,000, and of course, I loved Bloodruth #1 because of that last line that Gooding has in Bloodruth #1. It's one of the reasons why I liked it. Of course, the Saskas really use Michael and Lillian in basically everything they're writing, except I would say with the exception of Yaira, because I don't think Yaira has had Michael and Lillian appear. Let's see. Don't degrade yourself, man. We're here for you. Oh, thank you, son of Chad. I was making a little bit of a joke there. Like I don't think I'm not, I mean, I've been very self-deprecating for basically my entire life, and it's something like where like basically trained myself, like because I'm a severe autist, right? So being like introverted and being like having this hard time interacting with people, the way I would interact with people is through self-deprecation, and it's just not a good way to do anything. But that was like a little lighthearted joke, like at myself, at my own expense. I wasn't like, oh, I'm really this terrible person. It was like, oh yeah, let me just make a dumb joke. But if I don't mean that like I don't mean that in like a way to like say, oh, I'm so bad, everyone should hate me, woe is me, because it's just complete nonsense, and it doesn't really do anything. But anyways, that was just like, oh yeah, let me just try and be funny. Let's see, like Andrew, the fall festival is when you volunteer and meet some single moms. Let's see, yeah, I don't know. The thing with me is that I'm not sure. Let's see. If you explain the joke, you ruined the joke. Yes. Well, I wasn't like explaining the joke. I was just saying I was making a joke, right? But yes, let's see. Y'all up in here trying to start fights like that again. Now Andrew is gotten to far enough through his box of Franzia, where he's trying to instigate fights with people. Oh boy. Oh boy, man. It's just I'd say just lay off for the night, Andrew. Calm down. You won't have too much of a hangover. Just drink some water. You'll be okay. Okay. You see, now that's a joke at someone else's expense, right? Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, the fall festival is where you meet volunteer. I don't think if I went to the fall festival I was thinking of, I don't think I would not meet any single moms. I'd meet moms that are happily married, which I think that's all well and good. No, I haven't even left yet. Oh, okay, so again, you haven't even gotten the Franzia yet, and you're already acting like you've gone through half a bottle of Franzia. That's unhinged. Yes. Also, your tolerance is stupid high. Well, yeah, it's because like you're downing like what 10 boxes of Franzia a night, like any true white mom. Like you've almost upgraded to being a full-on vodka aunt. I'm getting concerned. Let's see. Congrats, Joker. Looks like you've gotten the Throat Goat's attention. Throat Goat sycophant's attention. You are moving up in the world. Well, what attention are they giving me? Like, are they watching me? Like, are they clipping my stuff and making fun of me? Because I would find that to be absolutely hilarious. Like, man, they're giving me attention. And honestly, let's see. I don't drink boxed wine. That's lame. Well, I'm gonna just run with the fact that you do, because it's just funny to me. So again, you 100% drink Franzia. Let's see. So Andrew is a speedster. Prove me wrong. Yeah. Well, alcohol is a suppressant. So like maybe he's like hyperactive and he has to like constantly down the boxes of Franzia to make him be able to interact at like a normal human pace. That's my headcanon for Andrew's life. Oh man. But yeah, no, Garfield, of course, I believe you're in like, if you are in on Twitter or whatever, I wonder like, is there anything specific? But I don't know. My curiosity has been like piqued by that, because like I don't know. But honestly, if they're watching my content, I enjoy getting the watch time. That's what I think. I got to thank them for that. So So if I got, because I'll always get people who dislike my Rippaverse reviews, a couple of them. So people will interact. I've gotten comments from them before. It might have been the Super Killer review that I did, because I reviewed Super Killer, and I wasn't like I wasn't like so like, oh, it's the worst comic book ever made. It's so bad, because it really isn't. It's like, oh, it's just mid. As the kids say, it's very mid, and it's like, well, like you said, Garfield, I don't think it's even meaningfully been fulfilled yet, and if it hasn't, man, that is sad. Let's see. Oh, so a moral fat loves the pro. Oh, okay. So he's watching, but anyways, if he's in the stream, let's see. Then I'm fine with it. But yeah, I hadn't seen that name before, so it does kind of make sense. If he's like if he's a fan of EVS, more power to him. It's just like, I don't know. I'm not like that. I'm not like in that type of guy. And honestly, when I was working overnight and I was be able to stay up late enough for Trashcast to be on, I was feeling awful about myself. So like, if you're like on his sleep schedule, your life's a bit unhinged. I'm just putting it down. I'm just putting it down like that. We got PB in the chat. I think doing the cheers glass. Nice to see you in the chat, PB. But anyways, we will refresh and we will check out the. Let's see, 100. Yeah, still hasn't gone. But yeah, so like I said, it's going to close out just below, maybe at 175. It'll be the milestone that'll hit. Anyways, so I think decently good for a second issue, number 1 and 2. This sells at $19. Actually, if I can get the freaking page up here, ugh, $19 for the cheapest version of the colored. And then, of course, if you want to be like a real cheapo, you can go not cheapo, but if you want to like I just want to read the book, you can get the black and white edition for $15. And I'm sure a lot of people opted for that. There were people like, well, I can get the black and white for a couple bucks cheaper. I don't necessarily need the coloring, even though Brett Smith's coloring is fantastic. It was fantastic. I believe he's the colorist for the first issue of Bloodruth. I can check, and we're going to be super professional here, as I always am. Whenever I go, this is one of my running gags, along with me talking about the Roman Empire, is the fact that like whenever I go and I shuffle through, because I got the short box of Rippaverse comics right under my desk, because I need to have it. And Brett R. Smith is the colorist for Bloodruth number 1. We'll just leave that there. It won't be as organized as I would like it to be. But anyways, Brett R. Smith is the colorist for Bloodruth number 1. And one of the things I cited and I said is that I prefer the colored version of Bloodruth number 1 to the black and white version. Even though I didn't really read the black white version, I just looked through the art a little bit. But yeah, the colors on Bloodruth number 1 are really good. Really highlights Montanay's art. So I'm all in on reading the colored version of Bloodruth number 2, and I'm excited for this. So hopefully we're probably going to get this by December or so. This says Q4 2025, but it's really cool to have this. And of course, we can open the image in a new tab. And what we are seeing is that this is this is Deborah Carita's cover for Bloodruth number 1, and it is fantastic to have that, and also cool to have that as a black and white version. So I, absolutely love this cover, and it is quite cool. Let's see. So I got the black and white for the first one and the colored version later because I like it so much. Yeah, that is a cool thing to do. But like I said, I would say if you can spend the $4 extra to get the colored version of Bloodruth, then I would go ahead and do that, because it really is fantastic. Let's see. I don't know what I'm even doing. So let's see, going through my orders, and the warehouse team has some work to do. Yes, I think they always got stuff to do. So yeah, a lot. I mean, let's see. Yeah, I've got like Repazine 5, Norfolka. I mean, Norfolka hasn't been fulfilled yet. I'm a bit anxious to get Norfolka, but once Norfolka comes in, I'm going to have to go and spend the money on getting a record player and a cassette player. I won't be. It'll be like less than $100 to get both of those, but still, I'm wallet's hurting, man. Wallet's in pain. But it'll be a fun thing to do. For Braxcast is to do those. But anyways, I think yeah, we'll go for about an hour or so. I know there's some people that probably wanted me to go for a bit longer. But anyways, I don't have like too much to talk about. Bloodruth #2 closing out is really the biggest thing. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Bloodruth on tomorrow's episode of Braxcast. Like go through the Dokemon card, go through the first issue a little bit, say, hey, this is what I want, since there really isn't anything going on in the news cycle for the Rippaverse. And I talked about this. We had the Rippa Fest last week, which was like kind of like saved it from being a slow news week because that was the big announcement. And I'm, of course, currently competing in the Rippa Fest. Although I think Andrew's going to snub me now because I think again, once he drinks the Franzia, he's going to make sure that happens. Again, I'm never going to let him live down the allegations of being a wine mom or wine mom. That is what I'm going to be. That's my 100% what I'm going to be doing. So Death Shroud hardcover is out of stock. I just got the base version of Death Shroud. I need to review that along with Mighty Golden Patriot. I'm so behind on my reviews. See, I'm curious about 2026, if it's more books from established titles or new titles and more books from the already established titles. Honestly, it's going to be both. Let's see. Yeah, so Andrew is saying NDA. Yes, wine moms. Let's see. Next Braxcast Live, we should go through the showcase and see what we haven't got yet, and what surprises there were. I mean, I have the I think I've got the spreadsheet somewhere. If I can get my I don't need the let's see. So I have the spreadsheet that I made for Rippaveal. Yeah, but I let's see. Is it no? Okay, I changed my password, so it's not working with me. But I will change it. So yeah, don't show it next week. Yeah, that's a good thing to do for next week. I can go through the reveal. But anyways, I did make a spreadsheet with everything from the reveal. And I'll check it next week and update it. But anyways, to go talking about 2026 and how we'll speculate is that that we are going to get more established titles. Like we're going to get like Alpha Core 3, Ira 4. I'm not sure if we'll get ISOM #4. Hopefully you get ISOM #4 in 2026. We really ought to. But we'll get more from the ongoing series. And I think we ought to get an ISOM 4 in 2026. Like if it comes like later in 2026, let's say it comes around like this time next year, I'd be okay with that. But we're also going to get a bunch of new stuff, and it's just the nature of the release of because they're doing so much and they're putting so much into the comic aspect of the business, which I would say that's the primary thing that they are is they're a comic book company, and they make the merch. I got the Irish shirt on, and they do other stuff. And we might also see some stuff from Ripazine. Or not Rippaverse Studios is what I meant to say. Out of all the main books not delivered yet, Norfolka, Bloodruth 2, Alpha Core 2, Horseman 2, which are you most excited for? I'm going to say Horseman #2. No, I meant Alpha Core #2. Honestly, I think Horseman #2 I'm really excited for as well, because Horseman #1 ended on that really epic cliffhanger. So I would say but Alpha Core #2 has just been like, I've gotten so used to waiting for Alpha Core #2 that it's like I am excited to read it. But it's like, oh well, it's going to get here eventually. I put the order in. So it's like, I'm just kind of like, while I am really excited for it, I think if I had to pick anything, it would probably be like Horseman #2. Although Norfolk is one I'm really tense for because that's getting close to fulfillment. So there's a lot, man. I'd say basically all these books I'm really excited for, but I'd say it's going to go like Alpha Core 2 is the one I really want to read. Horseman #2 is definitely one I'm really excited for as well. And then I would say it goes Norfolka and then Bloodruth #2. While Bloodruth #2 is one I'm excited for, it's not one that I'm more excited for than like Horseman #2 because I love the series Horseman, and I honestly love how. Oh man, I just love how that book. I love it was a good ending. It was very satisfying, Bloodruth. And of course, Horseman number 1 has that cliffhanger ending because it was just as it was like getting and settling into itself in terms of the action is when Chuck ends it, and then we got that second issue, and that was like what, a week or so after it fulfills Horseman number 2, and I'm like, oh boy, I absolutely love that. Don't be surprised if Great War 3 launches this week. I wouldn't be. Honestly, when Alpha Core 2, well, was it Alpha Core 2? It was either like Bloodroot, but there was one book where it said, hey, we're launching something, and I thought it was going to be I thought it was going to be Great War 3, and I think it ended up being Bloodruth 2, if I got that correctly. So Rippaverse is really doing it. I'm enjoying several books, but the overall success and direction is so very needed. Here's the hoping more indie creators follow suit. Honestly, PB, I think a bunch are. You got Iconic Comics, you got Von Coleman. I would check out Zaid Comics. I think the man with no strings, number 0, closed out recently and is fulfilling in November. So it's getting close to fulfillment. I'm definitely going to read and review that next month. And that'll be a fun one to do. And I've reviewed a bunch of the Zaid comics. You know, Phil and Brandon Diaz are great guys. And they've been very nice to me. Because they sent me a couple of books, and I think I did an order, like a Psycho Slumber order, and I did an unboxing of it, and they actually sent me like a bunch of trading cards as well, which is really, really nice of them. So yeah, they're great guys, and they make great books, and they deliver them in a timely manner, which it's nice. Not apparently, to have that expectation of you give the money and then you get it in a timely manner is like, I don't know, it's verboten. It's not a good mindset to have. Oh boy, I'm stirring the pot there. Let's see. Any Zach books you are waiting on? I probably am. But it's been so long that I forget which ones they are. So I'd have to go through like the Indiegogo page. I think it's Iron Sights, and honestly, I think they got shipped to my old address. So maybe when I come, maybe they'll be there by the time I come for like Thanksgiving. And I'll pick those up there. So, but I think it would be Iron Sights. I think so because I remember seeing like a notification from Indiegogo that something from Zach, one of Zach's campaigns fulfilled. So I think it would have been Iron Sights. And that had a bunch of stuff associated with it. We'll see if I actually get all the add-ons this time, because I don't think I did when I ordered Rock and Roll Ninja. I don't think I got the first Drop Air Breakers book. I have Grand Bazaar, which I'll probably read through eventually. But it's just so like disjointed. But yeah, I think it's Iron Sights that I'm waiting on to get. And I ordered that like, oh no, around 2 years ago at this point, probably sometime in 23. But answer that, Garfield, it's so freaking long ago that I would have to like actually like check my Indiegogo history. It's not like that with the Rippaverse, because like I know like, oh, I ordered Norfolka, a couple months ago, in June or so. So yeah, it's taken a while, but not like years. And the same thing will be for Bloodruth number 2. Same thing will be Alpha Core number 2, where these things you order them as like come in a couple months, not a couple years. Let's see. So can't wait for Great War number 3. Chuck Dixon was firing on all cylinders in number 2. 100% agree. Great War Separation is like really shaping up to be fantastic. Of course, that first half of the series was really strong, and I cannot see the second half not being as strong. And of course, Jack Herbert being the artist brings the heat on that. And I'm going to say this, Jack Herbert really ought to be the artist for a Young Isom series. Have a limited Young Isom series with Jack Herbert as the artist. Get on this, guys, because it's lightning in a bottle. And I think you guys really, really ought to do that. I think Jack Herbert would be fantastic because he's drawn a Young Isom. Or not like Young Isom as he would be in like the Young Isom series. You see the statue of Young Isom there, where he's like, early to mid 20s. And that's, Isom when he's like in middle school, maybe late elementary school. But he's drawn a Young Isom, is my point. And of course, he's a fantastic artist. I was going to say, look at Gooding, but no, not Gooding, because Gooding's Will Conrad. Let's see. So, oh, yeah. So, yeah, Great War 1 was great. Great War 2 was legendary. War Absolute Zero. Yeah, Absolute Zero was such a fantastic character in Great War 2. I want to see more of her in Great War 3. Of course, want to see more of Solari, want to see more of the team. So yeah, there's just so many things. Of course, we've got to see more Xeno, because Xeno didn't really have much of an appearance in 1 or 2. We just know of him, and we've seen him a little bit, but really, I think 3 and 4 is when Xeno is going to show up and have like his big role and really bring the pain. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to read. Let's see. So small indies are great, but a door has been opened by the Rippaverse. Time for more like Eric July, make a real company, multiple different titles. You see, the thing, PB, it's hard to do what Eric July did, because Eric July took like $200,000 and basically started up the Rippaverse with ISO #1 and a bunch of associated merchandise as like this launching pad. And he also had a pretty big, he had around 500,000 subscribers at the time. He hit it like basically pretty soon after, but he's like at 490 something. So he had a large baked in audience of people who were going to support him because they were, comic book fans, they were fans of his. And then you also just had like that, like momentum of word of mouth trickle out into him being talked about on Fox News and getting all these signups and it being this massive cultural event. So it's not something that everybody's going to be able to do. If other people have the funds to do it and want to emulate what Eric July did, they've got a lot of ability to learn from what he did right and what he did wrong. And that will mean that they could do something as good or maybe even better than the Rippaverse. But you need to have those large starting, it's those large, the large startup costs. And again, not everybody just has like $200,000 lying around in the bank. Some people do, but I feel like the people who have that kind of money laying around in the bank most of them are not in the mindset that Eric July is. Some of them are. But I feel like a lot of those people that are, they have their niches, they have their industries, and they're involved in those, and they would rather be doing those things than making comic books. But anyways, that's just my hot take. I'm not sure how correct it is, but that's what I'm going to say. But we'll refresh this, and it seems like, we hit $175,000. Cool milestone to hit, guys. So congratulations. So Bloodruth is at 175K. I don't think it'll get to 200. It's going to close in 4 hours. So, it's going to be a bit of a, Hail Mary if it does. But anyways, I still think it's pretty good for a book to get to, any comic that's in the indie scene to get to 6 figures is fantastic. So let's see. So I know that, but Eric did it and he's proved the concept. Someone else can do it. It's not going to be common, but for the rare guy who can, now is the time. Yeah, I 100% agree with you, PB. It's just like finding the people. Now, I'd love to get into making comics, and I suppose something I want to do. Of course, I would be doing it on a smaller scale. I am working on something that I want to. Honestly, what I want to do is I want to have the novel and the comic come out at the same time, where the novel will be the full story and the comic will just be like the opening, like a prologue. And if it does well, then I could adapt the rest of it. But that's contingent on me actually sitting down and writing, which I have been so bad at doing, man. I haven't gotten back into like the inspiration hasn't struck me. And the thing is, I just have to make it hit me. Like I just have to sit down and dedicate time to say, hey, I'm getting back into the mindset of writing. Let's see. Is your comic going to be about history? No, it's not going to be it's not going to be a historical fiction, even though I probably could do a good historical fiction. I would love to do that, but no, what I've got is more like a James Bond thriller type of story. So fun fact, I wrote the short story. It's called The Cleanup in the Diner. I wrote it for a writing contest. It's on my Substack. And you can read that as a paid post, I believe. So if you pay for the Substack, you can read that. And that's what I'm adapting into a full-length novel. And it's going to be it's going to be different. I'm changing stuff up. From that. But if you want to read what I'm working on next, like get a little bit of a teaser, you can become a paid member of the Substack, read A Cleanup in the Diner, and that's what's getting adapted into a full-length novel. Other side of the fence says, isn't my thing history? Yes, it is, but it's not my only thing. So it's just an idea. Like I said, I wrote it for a short, a writing contest. I liked the idea, so I just started running with it. But yes, I probably ought to do like a spy thriller in the Roman Empire, but no, it takes place in the modern day. So not about the Roman Empire. I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, you theoretically could do a spy thriller in the Roman Empire, but it's not what I would do. Like if I was going to write a Roman Empire story, um, yeah, I would go about it in a completely different way than doing a spy thriller. But yeah, it would be a cool thing to write about, like the Roman Empire. But I kind of want to do like a Roman Empire story in the Riververse. That's one of the things like I would really want to do because Garfield was asking me about that. I probably like a bit of a like to play into the meme for me, but for me, I was like I could actually do something that would kind of work, like a noir type of thing. No, it's not noir. Let's see. Roman Empire is just Game of Thrones. Like I resent that. It's much cooler than Game of Thrones. But yeah, no, it's not a noir type of thing because noir is like more like dark and gritty and like stealthy. The way the character acts. That is a that's not what this is. It's more like I don't know. It's hard for me to explain, but I like the idea. I'm running with it. And the sooner I write it and get it edited and get it published, then I can talk about it. I can direct you guys towards it. And if I do a comic associated with it, then I know a lot of you guys, nobody likes to read books these days, myself included. Let's see. Noir can be a gumshoe story. I'm not sure what you mean by a gumshoe story, but yeah, no, I don't have this as being like a noir aesthetic. Like that's not what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking more like it's just more like a thriller where there's like a lot of stuff, action, intrigue, and just these very complicated relationships that exist between these private entities in the state. Detective. Yeah, so I wouldn't say it's a detective story. It's more or less like a like a hitman kind of story. If you're going to say anything like that. Let's see. So Marcus Aurelius as a philosopher warrior battling up against barbarian uprisings. Yes. Doing something like with like the Macromotic Wars, but really what you would want to do if you wanted to make a historical fiction, you could have it be like one of Aurelius's soldiers that's like fighting alongside him. And then, like during the time he was writing Meditations, which again, Meditations is a fantastic book. Like if you're lost in life, of course, you ought to read the Bible, you ought to go to church. But Meditations by Marcus Aurelius is a really good book to really help like center your mind, like Stoic philosophy. You want to take like everything that you think of and you just run it through this filter of like, why am I thinking this and what put me into this mindset? And then you can come back down to earth. I think that's like one of the cores of Aurelius's philosophy. And it's not like this deep philosophical treatise in the sense that like something like the Republic would be or like metaphysics would be, where it's like or like I can get this book. I read like the opening of this, and oh my god, Descartes very, very long-winded. So like it's not something like that where we're trying to explain like these like very complicated philosophical ideas. Yes, prayer is scientifically proven to reduce stress and anxiety. I definitely feel a lot better, when I pray. So, and I do, honestly, I ought to pray more. But I need to give myself more time in the morning and the evenings to properly like read the Akafests and read more Psalms and stuff like that. But yes, prayer has been very helpful to me. But not like I want to go and brag like, oh, I'm so pious. I pray all the time. No, that's not it. It's just like, but yeah, I'd say it's something that is very helpful. It's been helpful to me. Watch this Joker. It's only a minute long. Let's go ahead and do it. So
a few years.
We're going to copy, and we're going to Control V, and
A few years.
then we're going to go ahead and we'll see if you guys can hear this, but we'll just play this.
Years ago, a previously little-known emperor called Aurelian became the subject of numerous memes in Rome-related forums and shitposting groups. I reckon this is partly because of the attention he got from Mike Duncan and Rome 2 Total War, both of which are basically required reading in the world of Roman memes. So why did Aurelian become the internet's darling, and why did it take us so long to recognize his brilliance? Well, Aurelian was only emperor for about 5 years in the troubled 3rd century. Like most other emperors at this time, he was made emperor as part of a military military coup, and then killed shortly after by another military coup. However, it's what he achieved in that short time that makes him a stone-cold Giga Chad. He built Rome some defensive walls, reunited the empire that had been split into three, defeated numerous invading barbarian tribes, and introduced Rome to its first taste of monotheism with his cult of Sol Invictus. And after all that, they killed him while he was having a whiz. Disgraceful. Only to be somewhat revived by the internet and worshipped as the restitutor orbis that he is.
I'm not sure if you guys could hear that, but that is rather interesting. I need to learn more about Aurelian. Let's see, this is a war campaign channel. I'm not even sure. So yeah, see history story. Yeah. I could do like a history story. But yes, no, I'm aware of the crisis of the third century, which would have been 200 or so. And then of course the West fell in 476. You had it was in Augustus. He was a child emperor killed by, starts with a name, Oster? Oster, whatever, I can't remember. He was a one of the northern Germanic people. I can't remember exactly. But anyways, so that's what I'm decently familiar with. And of course, like Marcus Aurelius lived in 180. But yeah, the crisis of the first century. So, and I said Aurelian was pretty key in stopping that, and that allowed, honestly, the empire to persist. And then, of course, you eventually got Constantine, who came probably about 40 or so years after, because he became emperor of the entire empire about 312 when he defeats Maximentus, if I'm getting his name correctly, and is able to unify the East and the West. And of course, he founded the city of Constantinople in the East. And again, we're talking about the Roman Empire. But Garfield is like, that was really good, Garfield. You really almost got me going there. But anyways, no, but I love Constantine's my favorite Roman emperor because he is my patron saint. Because I'm converting to Orthodoxy. And he's my patron saint because he's glorified as a saint in Orthodoxy. So I chose him as my patron saint because of my affection for the Roman Empire. He's like, really, there are a bunch of Byzantine emperors who are, they're emperor saints. But let's see. Yeah, did you all talk about the detention crew? Is that the name? I did. Other side of the fence. So if I can check it out, go I think Mustapunk subscribed to me, so very much thank you. I'm at like back to 170, which is cool. But anyways, that's aside the point. So let's see. So get the shareable link here. Okay, so if you're talking about Constantine Sunagod, I'm gonna really say like that's a big no. Constantine was not a bad emperor of the Roman Empire. He was really good. He legalizes Christianity, convenes the first council, the Ecumenical Council of Nicaea, which is what, like, if you have any sort of like understanding of what like Christianity is, it's because of what Constantine did. And of course, he was a good emperor in terms of like, all the reforms that he passed, and he was able to keep the empire together. What he did in founding the city of Constantinople is the reason why the Roman Empire persisted for a millennia after the fall of Rome in the West. Are you going to submit your story to the contest? If you're talking about Ripafest, then I'm not going to, because I don't think you can write anything and submit it like that. So it's really the music, it's the like sequential art. So I'd have to like draw 2 pages of sequential art, and I could not do that with like what I'm thinking of. Let's see. You lost your wrench, student of God. OG, student of God. Constantine slander will not be tolerated. Yeah. I'm not going to take. Oh, of course, it's a bit of a joke. But yes. Let's see. Boo, you can it multimedia. No. I think it's just art, content creation, and music. So I don't think I could write like a script You know, like I couldn't write like a 15-page script that's basically like, hey, here's my like introduction to this, Rippaverse Roman Empire idea that I have. And then if it wins, then it gets greenlit into being a Rippazine story. That would be cool if they did that for the Rippafest, but to my understanding, when I covered the Rippafest, they are not doing that. And then also to answer your other question, other side of the fence, I did cover the cleanup crew, and I just sent the link in the chat. That is, you can of course watch this after I do the stream. But on the 84th episode of the Braxcast, I covered the detention crew. I think it's a cool story. I ordered all the covers, so I will be covering it and reviewing it when it gets fulfilled. But anyways, we're going to let's see, refresh the page for Bloodruth again, because this is the Bloodruth closeout stream supposed to be, but it turns out to be me talking about the Roman Empire, as I always do somehow. Because Garfield had just is obsessed with Aurelian, and I think we all are, because he's a cool guy. But yes, like Garfield said, Rome has a lot of content to work with. Everyone usually focuses on Julius Caesar, but there's so much more to work with. Yeah. I mean, people like Julius Caesar. Of course, there was a Shakespeare play written about him. He actually visited Britain. He just discovered apple cider there, or not discovered, he found apple cider there, which is really cool. But yeah, Julius Caesar, and of course, the Gallic Wars, he expanded the Rome in the West pretty significantly. So let's see. That's what's the new Captain Underpants looking story from Rippa? I would say that's Detention Crew. If you're talking about like this more kiddie art style, that would be Detention Crew. And not everyone. I talked about this when the week it came out, or the week the collection was released. A lot of people were not jiving with that art style, and a lot of people who are fans of the Rippaverse in general were coming in the stream and saying, I don't like it. It's not my thing. And I was like, yeah, no, I can understand that. But for me, I personally like the art style of it, and I think it's going to be a fun story. I think the idea of it's pretty interesting. And the Saskas are writing it, so I think it's going to be a pretty fun one to see, or fun one to read, I ought to say. So yeah, that's what it is. It's the Detention Crew. Other side of the fence. I put the link down there. So if you want to, check out my take on it, you can there. Let's see. Oh, and you have to do a better Super Killer review. Yeah, I kind of phoned that review of Super Killer in. I probably ought to have done a better review, but honestly, if it's going to take Vito as long as it did to get Super Killer out to people, then I'm not going to do a better Super Killer review. And that's also part of the fact I'm a bit lazy. Like, I'm not the best with my reviews, but yes, I could have done a better Super Killer review, but like, it's out there. I don't think there's any point in me like redoing it to like make it like a real epic one. And I don't have the physical book other side of the fence. So for me to do like a proper review, I would have to get a copy of Super Killer and actually properly read and review it. I can't really do that. Let's see. You have a thing about not talking about any story. Yeah, that's one of the things, like, I try to keep them spoiler free. But I guess I could divulge into talking about more spoiler. So let's see. Yeah, you're not a spoiler. Yeah, I don't like to be a spoiler. It's very, and the thing for me is that to convey if I think a book is good or not, very rarely do I have to go into spoiler territory. But honestly, with Super Killer, there wasn't really much of this coherent plot. There is like this like overarching story where like he goes and he kills Meteor Man, and then the universe falls apart, and then he has Beck become his sidekick, and it's just such a like I would say dumb, but it just is like it just happens, and it's like and that's the thing I say. It's like I don't have to talk about the story. It's just like, well, it's just a series of events that takes place in a multiverse where you've got this guy that just goes around killing people. So to me, it's just like, oh, it's not something that like I really need to talk about like every detail of the story to say like, you read it, it just is. And the thing is like, that's the whole thing. So Garfield is saying that I put more effort into that review than Vito put into the campaign. Nothing has been delivered, and the digital scans weren't even in color. I think he always said that. Which honestly, let's see. Don't say that. That's what was without. That's what Isom was without the killing. Without the killing of. I'm saying Isom was without the killing. Are you killing of whom in Isom? Because I don't remember anyone in Isom explicitly dying. I could be wrong though. So let's see. That's what was. Let's see. Don't say that. That was what was. I don't know. Anyone might be mistyping there. But anyways, for me personally, I don't know. If you disagree with me, you need to talk about like the story in depth. And honestly, it probably ought to be something. Oh, Isom was a story about nothing. I wouldn't say that Isom was a story about nothing. I'd say it's a story that just has a lot of like it explores a lot of stuff very shallowly, and it kind of had to with the nature of it launching a comic book universe. Now, I think it's not the most like unfair thing to say that since like there's all the stuff that goes on in Isom that it doesn't really feel like anything is happening, and I can kind of agree with that. But for me, I think it's a good series of events, and it does have a pretty solid it's a pretty solid story in my opinion. Of course, you're welcome to disagree with me. You can say that it's just a story, other side of the fence. So if you're okay with that, yeah. So other side of the fence is saying that he's not a sock account when I think I don't think he is, because I've seen you on stream. You just have a passionate opinion, and you disagree with me, which honestly is fine, and I honestly encourage it. Keep me honest. So I'm not going to be like, someone comes to my live stream and says that the comic books I like aren't good. I'm going to go into my corner and cry after I ban you. No, that would be a very unserious way to act. So, of course, I'm glad that you watch the streams and you enjoy them, if you enjoy them. But if you just like, telling me that I'm wrong about Isom or the Rippaverse or whatever, you're of course welcome to, because you are not doing any. Yeah, I mean, even if it is a new CG account, student of God, he's not being disrespectful to me. Like he's not like saying anything like really rude. He's just disagreeing with me, which is honestly, And again, I agree with you, other side of the fence. You're not here to be derailing. You're just saying that, hey, I don't think Isom's a good story. Which again, you're welcome to that opinion. And you're welcome to state that opinion. I just always find it like a little bit odd that like if you don't like the Rippaverse, that's fine. But then you go on to the guy who's like live streaming as a fan of as a super fan of the Rippaverse. But anyways, if that's how you want to spend your Halloween night, then it's perfectly well too. Like I said, I appreciate the watch time. So yes, so thank you for being a fan. Other side of the fence. I'm not gonna badmouth you or anything like that. And like I said, welcome to disagree. Anybody's welcome to disagree with me. So student of God knows, but let him get your engagement up. Yeah, he is working. Okay, so yeah, you're working tonight. Yeah. No, there are people who do like night work, or you could be, I don't know, even like, I don't know what time zone you're in. But anyways, whatever. It don't matter. It do not matter. But anyways, man, live streaming for almost 90 minutes. I feel like these live streams where I just ramble and ramble, they always go by so quickly. Because just have so much stuff to talk about. That like when you guys come in the chat, you just give me stuff to talk about. I go on tangents and tangents and tangents, and I honestly find it fun. But yes, this is like not only do I talk about, like most of it is like me just like talking about random stuff that isn't the Rippaverse. Let's see, you haven't come up in my algorithm in a while. Honestly, not surprising. Since I'm a small channel. I'm not monetized, so YouTube will want to put stuff in your feed that they'll actually make money off of, and it's not my content. But yeah, no, I don't remember seeing you for a bit. But yeah, if you see me in the algorithm and you want to come and watch me, you are welcome to. So I'm not going to make this a exclusive club or anything like that. But anyways, talk a little bit more about what we're supposed to be talking about. And this is Bloodruth number 2. Of course, you've got more church scenery here, and looking here, of course, this is very much like a Catholic parish. You see, you got the pews here. You've got an altar here. And of course, altars are very big in Christian history, especially you read it's Old and New Testament. Let's see. What's funny is that I'm banning a lot of Comicsgate chats. They don't like pushback. Yeah, I can understand that. But the thing is, I don't want to get into like into those people. Like if they want to be like an echo chamber, they want to like hug box people. They're welcome to do that. It's just like I don't want to waste my time, and I don't want to like damper the mood of what I have here. Even though it's a small little community that I have, but like I like just talking about it. And apparently EVS banned Other Side of the Fence, but I'm not going other side of the fence. You see, the funny thing is that like you've come up to me and you've said stuff that like I disagree with about Isom, but I've got no reason to ban you for that. And honestly, if I did, I would be like a complete dumbass for doing that, because you have not been like belligerent with me. You've just been disagreeing with me. And I wouldn't even say it's concern trolling. It's just like you just say like, oh, I don't think Isom's a good story, which again, like, I don't know. I'm not sure if calling you a nerd. I was like two nerds disagreeing with a comic book is not a it's very normal in this culture. Let's see. I'm actually, soon as God says I'm actually only banned in, I think, the B.A. Turner chat. Oh yeah, so B.A. Turner. He's a bit of a character. Let's see. Yeah, so I do get it. I enjoy getting it. But anyways, to talk about Bloodruth #2, more of this like church scenery I like, because of course like I've started going to church. I've been going to church consistently since like June. It was like June, not like June 16th, June like 22nd. Is when I first went to an Orthodox church. And that was really nice. I had like a friend invite me, and we're still friends. That's the situation, but I don't want to say anything more than that. And I've been going, not to that church, but I've been going to this Rocor parish every week since like July. Sometimes I started going twice a week because they do Vespers on Saturday night and then they do the liturgy on Sunday morning. So all that to say is I'm familiar with church, with like the church environment. And of course, like I know this is a Catholic environment. So Joker needs to do a 24-hour Roman Empire stream. Can you do it, Joker? I don't think I could. That would be absolutely insane for me to do a 24-hour stream. I would not. And I know I'm not that old. Like I'm 27. But I would not want to do that to myself. Like, maybe I could probably do like a 12-hour stream about the Roman Empire, but a 24-hour stream would be too much for me. Like I would want to sleep. So I could probably do like a 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. stream on like if I took, honestly, I mean I could do it on a Saturday, but then like actually I could do like a 4 to 4, like 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. stream. And just like spend a Saturday sitting at my computer. But honestly, that's like a very chronically online thing to do. I'm trying to be less chronically online. So like while I know you guys would like find it like very funny for me to do a 12-hour stream or even like a 24-hour stream, it's just like I'd rather like live my life. Like I would rather spend like a Saturday. I'd rather spend like 12 hours or I'd rather say a day like hiking or camping than like sitting in front of my computer streaming about the Roman Empire. So yeah, I don't think I would want to do that. While I know you would find that to be entertaining, Garfield, it's just like I'm not the other guys that has like the ability or like the wherewithal to stream for that long. Or I mean, they do like what, a third of that. Like they'll do like 6 to 8 hour streams at times. But yeah, even that is like it's like too much for me. Maybe I'll do like if you guys want me to do like a really long stream. Where I just ramble on about the Roman Empire and a whole bunch of random stuff, then I'm welcome to do that. But I would not want to do like a 24-hour stream for anything. Like if it got really big and it was like a charity event, then sure, that would be a thing that'd be like fun to do. But the way my life is right now, like I would not want to do that. So if let's say my ship comes in, I got like 50, 100,000 subs on YouTube, and I can do like a let's see what and I do it for a charity event. Then I'd be willing to do that. But like the way things are right now, it's just like I don't have the energy to do a 24-hour stream, and I'd rather sleep I'd rather have the ability to sleep, because I would conk out and it would not be entertaining. But I mean, I guess I could just like I got like the I got some like fat burner that has like caffeine. I could just like down that. Let's see. So Joker should write a Roman hero comic, and we can get Matt Barr to draw it with war campaign undertones. I'm not sure if Matt Barr would want to work with me. Not because like I think he's a bad guy. He would like dislike me or anything like that. I just think I'm small potatoes. Too small potatoes for him. But if you got like any sort of like contact with him and you want to float that idea by him, have him message me on Twitter. You know what my Twitter is, you know, God. So I would be open to doing something with Matt Barr. That would be fun. That would be a fun thing for me to do. But I'm just, I just, while I'd love to work with the guy. He did fantastic work on Rock and Roll Ninja. I just think I'm like too small potatoes of a writer. That like my name being attached to something doesn't really like get people to want to read it. I mean, I can't sell my own book, so my name being attached wouldn't sell. Like it'd be like me writing Matt Barr's coattails. But yeah, I would love to work with Matt Barr as an artist on a comic. That would be fun. That would be really fun. But yeah, I just don't think I have like I don't have the coffers to like pay him a decent like page rate for me to like own it. But if you wanted to do something like as a collaborative thing, I'd be fine with that. But I get, like I said again, I just don't think Matt Barr would want to work with me. Because like I'm not notable enough, because he's worked with Chuck Dixon on Rock and Roll Ninja, and he's gone around with a whole bunch of like he's gotten a bunch of like big gigs and stuff like that. So I think I'm small potatoes. So that's my opinion on that. So like I said, open to doing it, but it's just something I don't think would happen unless like my ship comes in and like I put something out and then it gets big. But yeah, I think you guys are making. I actually have a historical fiction idea that like ChatGPT kind of brainstormed. I took it to ChatGPT and it brainstormed a bunch of stuff for me. I'm like, yeah, that would be interesting if I did something like that. So yeah, so I do have a historical fiction idea, but I also have like a high fantasy world I would want to build, and so there's so many ideas. But the thing is that ideas are a dime a dozen. Being able to execute on the idea is what matters the most, and that's what I have a hard time doing that for just one thing. And if you're trying to like, I want to write like this epic like high fantasy universe, it's like Lord of the Rings. I want to write this thriller story. I want to write historical fiction. You're spreading yourself too thin. And that's just the inherent thing. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Rippaverse is working, because Eric has brought on so many people that he's able to put out all this content and not spread himself so thin. Because he's got the Saskas, he's got Chuck Dixon, he's got all the artists that he works with, he's got who else? Mike Barron who did Gooding. So yeah, key thing is delivering the actual book. Yeah. So of course, the warehouse team to do fulfillment. He's got the editors. He's got Caro. He's got Andrew when he isn't overdosing on Franzia to edit stuff for him. So he's got a good team of people. Including Andrew. Like I said, when Andrew's sober, when Andrew's not wine momming it up, he's doing his editorial duties. But anyways, that is that there. So we are going to add this back here, and I think we're going to, let's see, refresh that there. It doesn't have a knockout story. I mean, I would disagree. I think honestly, I think Horseman is a pretty good knockout story. I think the fans really resonated with Horseman. And of course, like Ice made millions of dollars. Of course, you're going to say like, well, it's declined so much, people lost the interest, and you can have that opinion. But for me, I think Horseman is a real knockout story. Like it really resonated with the fans. And I think while I wouldn't say the community is contracted, I think the core fan base has basically been there since ISF1 has been a decent size, and that hasn't gotten smaller. And you got people who are trickling into being like fans of the Perverse. I think Zalen is better than Horseman. Yeah, I mean, that is your opinion. And of course, Zalen's fantastic. So I love Zalen as well. But Horseman, to me, the way the fans have responded to Horseman, that's a real knockout story. That character's been real knockout. And if they can pull off getting even like an animated pilot with Dean Cain, for Horseman, I think that would get a lot of interest in the Rippaverse. But that is just my opinion. Welcome to disagree with it. But anyways, been going for about an hour and a half. We're seeing this get to, we'll see, this is at 5182, $175,951 dollars, whatever you want to say. I was just being a bit funny. But anyways, it is getting close to 9. So the main character, talking about the main character, Horseman, who feels like a dummy. I think he's a hard-headed character. It's kind of his intention. And honestly, Chuck Dixon writes that well, especially in Welcome to Flores Park, when the detectives, I forget their names. Forgive me for being a fake fan of the Rippaverse. But the two detectives who die in Horseman Welcome to Flores Park, they get I think whatever. I think they get killed by Bloodstone Serum. If I'm remembering correctly, they were able to identify who the Horseman was because he was careless, he's reckless, and I think it's him being this. He's a soldier. He was just sent in to where he had to go. He takes them out, and then he just moves on to the next place, and that's what his training is. He's not like this espionage commando. He's just a really good soldier, and that plays through in his personality, which is why he can seem to be like a bit of a dummy, and it's a character flaw. So if you want to have a good meaningful character, they need to have character flaws, and that's one of Horseman's flaws. So of course it can put you off from the character, but he left the last place for that reason. No. Yeah, no, he did leave Drescher because he was getting close to getting found out. And he's trying to be on the DL. But yeah, again, it just shows that like he can't abandon his bad habits, and he's he's a bit reckless. But yeah, it's this conflict with his character. And Chuck Dixon to me is still he's writing his character well, and he's going to be able to write in such a way where Horseman is able to have this arc where he's able to redeem himself and actually be more careful and be able to actually do the things that he needs to do. But yes, he did make that mistake before, and he's making that mistake. But it's part of again, it was the one shot that establishes character, and now we're just in the very beginning of his ongoing series. We haven't even gotten number 2 in our hands yet. So to say that we know the entire character's arc based on under 200 pages of story, I think is a bit premature. Now, of course, you can have read what you read for Horseman and be like, well, I don't want to engage with it at all. I'm done with it. That's fine. But to definitively say the character is a bad character because of that, I think it's a bit premature, right? That's just, again, it's just my opinion. I'm gonna let you give him that credit. Okay, so Masapunk says that I am still live. I am just about to end the stream. So you came in just at the end. Are we not counting the first issue? No. I am counting the one shot. So like I said, we're under 200 pages because it was a 96 pages for Welcome to Flores Park, and then it was 56, 72. So like I said, under 200 pages of story so far, and that's what I meant. So let's see. So Hector is trapped in a cycle of grief, survivor's guilt, and mourning. And instead of seeking help, he lashes out in violence because he's a good man. He directs that violence towards criminals. So still 2 issues. My point still stands in that we're not even 2 issues yet into his ongoing series, right? Because Welcome to Flores Park is just establishing the character as a one shot. And then that story is being continued in the ongoing series of Horsemen, which I think is a fantastic way to do it. It was certainly popular enough to justify that, which is why I say it's a breakout character, because Horseman got an ongoing series based on making $800,000 in that collection. And the fans like the character. I hear nothing but good things. Yeah, no, but it was a long one shot. But that's how Rippaverse has been doing it, especially in their beginning. Now they've gotten to this shorter issue with more frequent releases. But they were still, when Horseman came out, they were still at this basically every book they're putting out is a 96 pager or more, because Isom was around 120 or so. Isom 3 was almost 140 or something. It's a lot of pages. But yeah, I think Sir Book Sage had a very good comment. But yes, it was a long one shot. It's like, like 6 months worth of like, content, which is really really good. So it's a really meaty one shot. It does give us a lot of establishment of the character, but I think it does it in a way where it's still needs to be his character still needs to be built up and developed in that ongoing series. And what we're really seeing is the beginning of Hector's Flores Park arc, which is really going to give us a lot of insight into the character. And honestly, it's where we're going to see him develop and grow and actually mature into who he needs to be. I wouldn't say a likable character. I think he's already pretty likable. But again, a lot of that is subjective because whether a character jives with you or not is what makes it likable, and that's entirely dependent on the proclivities of the individual. So if I like Hector because of his personality, and you dislike Hector because of his personality, then there's really no reconciling that. Which again, like I say, it's okay. You can not like anything from the resources. It's just comic books at the end of the day. But regardless, I think Hector is. I think Chuck Dixon has got a pretty good plan for it. Let's see. I say I do. It hurts. So you just like yeah. It's okay. But anyways, appreciate everybody for showing up on this good day. Well, not good day of Halloween. So yes, I like things. So yes, you are allowed to like things. So allowed to like things, allowed to dislike things. But anyway, other side of the fence. Really nice talking with you. Really nice talking to Garfield. Master Punk, I know you subscribe, so thank you so much for that. Hopefully, I can convince you to stick around. I do these lives basically every week. Probably will be a couple weeks, not like a couple weeks in a row. Not like how it was when I moved from New York to the Grand Estate, because I was on a hiatus on basically all the content I was doing for a bit. But there might be like a week or so. Like if I'm going, like I think it's Thanksgiving in November, I'm probably not going to do a live. I might like go like on like vacation or something like that, and I won't do a live. So, but I'll let you guys know. But typically every Friday, if I'm on the regular grind, doing these streams as part of it. Of course, I do Braxcast as numbered episodes, pre-recorded, recorded on Saturday. That's my filling setup right behind me. I do reviews as well. I need to get back on that horse. I need to get back on being productive for a lot of things. But anyways, I am going to get back to doing that, God willing. So I'm going to end the stream here. Like I said, you guys have a fantastic night and a fantastic weekend as well. But Joker is out.